Retro Rebel Gamecast is brought to you by TempleofGeek.com, your one-stop shop for all things geek. You can find all our episodes and fulfill your sci-fi, fantasy, and geek culture-related needs at TempleofGeek.com. Welcome to the Retro Rebel Gamecast, where we discuss gaming and related topics. Retro Rebel is released Fridays, and you can find this episode and much more by heading to TempleofGeek.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. You can even find us on Facebook and Instagram at Retro Rebel Podcast for exclusive content and to see what else we're up to. My name is Amanda, and this week I'm joined with a special guest co-host, Tom. Hey, Tom, how's it going?
Yes, mate. Good, you?
Yeah, I'm very well. So we're back to do the second half of the 30 best arcade games of all time, part 2. Are you?
Let's just keep it part 2. Yeah, I haven't got time for part 3, mate. I'm busy. Not me.
That's fair.
I'm just letting you know right now. Part 3. Oh, it ain't gonna happen. Part 2 only. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Well,
especially the way that list was going. From what I remember, that list was horrendous.
Well, hopefully some of your favorites are here at the top, because we're going to be going through number 1 to number 14. But first, we have a tradition here. We talk about what we're playing right now. So what games are you playing at the moment?
Oh, apart from the normal mind games, just Doom Eternal. But no, wait, Doom 64 first. The reason I want to talk about that first is because I played Doom Eternal and I was doing really well at it, and I thought I'm all right. And I thought, well, if I'm really good at Doom Eternal, then Doom 64 surely now should be a walkover. And I have been getting my ass handed to me on Doom. I forgot how hard it was. Get the yellow key, get the red key, get the blue key, and then get killed. That's pretty much that's my mantra at the moment. You know what I mean? It's been like Doom. I don't know how, but it's became easier to play Doom. I don't remember it being that hard to play the game. Like maybe I was just better at it when I was younger. As I've gotten older, I think my reflexes have gone to shit. Or the developers have realised that the people that are playing it now are still those who were loyal to them when they were young.
Yeah.
And our reflexes just aren't there anymore. But we do, you know what I mean? So I thought we'll make a handicap version.
Yeah.
We'll spruce it up to make it look amazing. Let kids play it as well, and they'll be really good at it. But then the adults that used to play the old games can easily be good at it. So thank you very much, developers. I appreciate you.
Do you know what's funny that you say that? Because actually, I distinctly remember having a podcast episode with Stacy about how new games are actually way easier than old games ever would. I mean, namely just because of save points. Save points alone. There was never save points back in the day.
Where was save points when I was where?
Well, there was none in arcades because they wanted to take all your money, so they wouldn't give you.
Do you remember? Can't remember what games it were, but they used to do the really long ass passwords. Like they were like 16.
Oh, and you had to type the code in to like retrieve your
just to get back to that level. Not the way you die, just that level with nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like where you listen, I'll tell you one thing now. The generation now, our generation nowadays, like honestly, they don't know how good they've got it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Quick save. Ooh. Where I'm from, up north, that was a shop.
Although, to be fair, I'm spoiled now. Whenever I play a game that doesn't automatically save, I'm like, what is this?
You've gotten used to the custom lifestyle of elite save gaming.
Exactly.
Know what I mean? You're spoilt.
Well, I've been playing more Board Game Arena myself. Today, I played some Stella Dixit Universe, and it is a card game where each of the cards have really beautiful artwork on it, and all the cards are completely different. And the cards are laid out in a grid. There are several players, and you're given a word, and you choose the cards that you think represent that word. So it might be summer, for example. Right. You choose as many cards that you think relate to summer. If you picked more cards than anyone else, you're already almost at risk of dying in the game. So you want to choose like as close to other people without going over number of cards.
Right.
And then if you choose a card that nobody else picked, you die and you don't get points. But for every card that you pick that everyone else also picked, you get points. If only you and one person picked the same card, you get extra points. So it's like you were
Oh, wow.
lined up with just one person. And it's really fun. There are 4 rounds, so you get 4 words. You pick different cards each time, they change the artwork. Each row, one row gets replaced each round, so you get to see some new artwork. And it's really just sort of calming and chill. I mean, I'll play it for hours on my mobile phone, just chilling.
Is it like, when you first started talking about it, I thought it was Gwent from Witcher, you know what I mean? But then as you started talking, it was like, well, it's word association, is it? Is it word association?
It's visual and word association. So finding pictures that represent words.
So it's for autistic people then?
Well, listen, it's a very cerebral game. And in general, I find that a lot of gamers don't like that sort of game because it's not just straightforward, I smash you and I win. Like, you're trying to get into the head of the other people there and think about what they'll pick and how many cards they'll choose. So I've been doing very well at it, but there are a lot of people I know that don't even like to play it because...
Tell you what, right, now that I've just had a bit of a thought here for another list. Not today, because I ain't got time, right? And I don't want to do this next list because I want someone else to throw themselves on the call. You should do a list of, or a collection of games that were designed for either autistic people or colorblind people, or some sort of like, you know what I mean, or dyslexic people. Like, is there any games like that for anyone?
Games, yeah.
There is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a Xbox released a whole controller to allow accessibility.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really nice. There are some games that probably fall into that category. That would take
probably like Super Smash Brothers, because that's built for kids, isn't it? You know what I mean?
But I do know some people who are sort of in the accessibility space, so I'm sure they would have some opinions on it. It's not a bad show. But it isn't our main topic for today. Today, we are hitting again 30 best classic arcades of all time, part 2. This is number 1 to number 14, starting with 14 first. Just to remind everybody, this is a crowdsourced list from Ranker. We did not vote this, but this is one of the top results. When you Google this search term in Google, this is one of the lists that pops up on page 1. So we're going to go through it. We're going to see if we agree. And we're going to start with number 14. And number 14 is the 1980 Atari classic Centipede. Did you ever play Centipede?
What?
If you're thinking that it's the snake game on Nokia phone.
It's got to be the snake game, right? From the bloody the Nokia E350.
No, it's a shoot 'em up. This is a shoot 'em up.
Oh shit! Nah, this is it American?
Well, it is Atari. Atari is pretty worldwide, but it just may not have been popular. It was a very early game. It's 1980s, so perhaps arcades hadn't really become super mainstream in the 80s. You know, this came out even before you were born. So.
Oh wow. Yeah, listen. What's that? There's a movie like where there's one of the games that plays Centipede in it. And I know the premise technically. It's a massive centipede that is eating stuff, right? And it gets bigger and bigger.
No, it says the player defends against centipedes, spiders, scorpions, and fleas, completing a round after eliminating the centipede. Completing a round after eliminating the centipede winds down the playing field. I don't know. I've not seen it. And the way they've described it doesn't make a whole lot of sense either. This is the Ranker description from the list itself. If anyone's ever played it, smash it in the comments if you actually think it's good enough to be 14. Good enough to be better than number 15, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, listen. You've just reminded me how this list, because Qbit was on it as 30, I think.
Yeah.
And Joust, what the hell was that? Or Gauntlet? What was it called? Not Gauntlet. It was fucking Joust.
No, Gauntlet is great. We're getting to Gauntlet.
Oh, Gauntlet's on the list.
Oh, of course it is. Come on. Gauntlet is one of the best.
Oh, yes, mate.
Yeah,
get in there.
Best game.
Oh, I look forward to that one then.
Well, listen, we'll hold our opinions about Centipede for now, and we'll move on to number 13, which I believe I've heard you talk about many times, which is Double Dragon from 1987. This is a classic game.
Yes, mate. Oh, listen. Again, like with... what was the other one? Golden Axe. It was one where you could play each other, but you could also damage each other, and there were certain parts of the game that you had to do cooperatively. Oh, brilliant. Do you remember the ending of that?
Mm-mm.
Right, so Billy, which is one of the double dragon people, right? His missus gets kidnapped by this gang for some random reason. She comes out of a lockup, right? So the first intro is this buxom beauty comes out of this lockup, right? She comes out of this lockup. She just like waddles out as if she just done her shopping, and then this big boss person with all these little minions just runs by and like just walks around and then jabs her in the stomach. Like punches her in the stomach, like duffs her in, throws her over her shoulder like a fucking gorilla, and then just starts walking off. Like, yeah, look what I've got. Like a classic night out in Newcastle, you know what I mean? So like it resonated like a lot with me, and I was like, "That's how you do it, boys." Like you wait for the lady to go out the lockup, you give her a jab, throw over your shoulder, off you go, happy days. And then the same lockup, Billy and whatever his name is, I can't remember, one of them's called Billy. They come out of the lockup, start looking around, and then they start walking down the street beating people up randomly. You know what I mean? And then they get to the end, and this is where I really like. Get to the end, right? You fight the big boss, who doesn't fight you initially. He lets one of his really rock hard minions fight you.
Yeah, as you should.
You know what I mean? Then steps in when he's softened you up, and then you know what I mean? He steps in, so you defeat the big boss, and then the woman. In typical style, he can't decide which one of you she likes the most. You know what I mean?
You're joking.
Like, yeah.
Wait, which one of the double dragons or the guy who kidnapped her?
No, the double dragon. She sits there and she goes like, "Oh my, I love you guys, but my heart only belongs to one of you. But I can't make mine which one." And then you have to fight each other.
Oh no! And then whoever wins gets the girl.
Whoever wins gets to jab her in the stomach and throw her in the shoulder and walk off with her. You know what I mean? It's just like a classic it's a wife beating game, man. That's what it is. Like a few tins of Stella, you had to play that game. Yeah.
Listen, some of these the themes don't age well. Let's just say that.
Listen, there's a lot of Donkey Kong would be a classic example of not aging well. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. A gorilla kidnaps a white woman. Yeah, come on now.
I mean, yeah, that is true.
That is true. That is true. And a white guy with a hammer goes and beats up the gorilla. But yeah, that's right. Culturally inappropriate. Einstein battles.
This is awful. Well, the next game on this list, I believe what I actually remember is the perhaps PlayStation adaptation stroke reboot of the 1985 classic Gauntlet. That's what I think I remember.
Wait, was Gauntlet before or after Golden Axe?
This came after Golden Axe.
Damn right it did, because it was a fucking Golden Axe knockoff. That's what it was. I remember. No. Listen, it's still a good game, though. It had a lot going for itself.
Mm.
It had the same premise, didn't it? It had the geezer, the woman, and someone else.
Well, it's one of the first multiplayer dungeon crawlers ever.
Oh, wow. Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, give me a bit more information on that, then. I don't actually remember much of it. I remember hearing it in the corridors when I actually played it.
It's got a really beefy, muscular dude with an axe, and a woman with a shield and a sword, and somebody else I can't see. It's a maze stroke hack and slash game. It's fantasy themed, made by Atari in 1985, and it's one of the first dungeon crawlers. So I think it deserves to be on the list just for being genre introducing.
Listen, from the sounds of it, it's one of those classics, isn't it? Basically, you know what I mean. So it has to be up in there for prestigiousness alone.
The next,
but would it? I'm surprised it's higher than Golden Axe. So it must have sold really well.
Unsure. Maybe it's because it was multiplayer. A dungeon crawler, whereas at least how you've described Golden Axe to me, it wasn't a dungeon crawler.
Oh no, it was a side scroller.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
But I don't remember seeing this one. I do remember playing the console version, which had 4 heroes. and you could pick like one of them was a mage, one of them was barbarian, there was like maybe a druid and something else, and like you could have 4 people playing at the same time, and it would be third person sort of aerial view on all of you at once. Marvel Ultimate Heroes or whatever is a later game that did the same thing with the same camera angles where you were all in the same environment at once, so it wasn't split screen, which was better if you had a small TV but wanted a lot of friends to play. And the camera would follow you around.
Listen, how times have changed. Like, look at like I think the Turtles game I think we talked about last time. You could play 4-player with that as well, couldn't you?
On the advanced cabinets, yeah. The basic cabinet was only 2.
And there was an X-Men game that you could play 4 characters as well, if I remember correctly. Ooh, that's going to bug me that now. No, never mind. What's the next one?
Well, the next one is number 11, the game 1942. Now, I have never seen nor heard of this game.
It's an airplane game overhead, I think, over landscape.
Yeah, they say it's a vertically scrolling.
Yeah. So do you know those games where you see those crazy where you see a spaceship and then all of a sudden the whole screen's just full of bullets and they're dodging it like it's like one of those, but the very first type of that before like the Japanese really got good at it or the Chinese got really good at it, where they would do that little stuff on it. But yeah, I remember this one. It was like set like a Vietnamese like Congo kind of thing, like overhead aerial view, and then you'd get people or tanks and stuff trying to shoot you down, and you get like some power-ups and some you get some power-ups that would be like bomb strikes and stuff, I think, if I remember correctly. But do you know what? I didn't play it all that often, but I do remember
sequel, which was 1943.
Oh, possibly, you know.
So the 1942 one, at least from this description that I'm reading, is that you were shooting down enemy planes, avoiding enemy fire. You could perform a roll or loop-de-loop, and you could collect power-ups. But there doesn't seem to be... well, the problem is that I don't know what a Kawasaki K61, Kawasaki Ki-46, or Mitsubishi 6M0 is. They might be tanks, but it sounds like they're planes. That is just a guess. Without actually looking at the screen itself, it's hard to tell. Maybe you are describing 1942, but there was a sequel that came out the next year or the year after called 1943, The Battle of Midway.
Oh, I remember that one. That's the one I'm thinking about. Right, so let's just reiterate. Yeah, I then played that one. The other one I played. Let's just backtrack.
It's totally possible. I haven't played either, so I'm just going off of the description provided with this list. But if anyone knows for sure, pop it in the comments, because our memories are also 20 to 30 years old on these things.
Well, speak for yourself, you know what I mean?
Oh, well, all right, sorry.
Yeah, I got some good moisturizer under there.
Perfect. Okay, so number 10, I have definitely played this, but once again, never on an arcade cabinet. I never paid money to play Frogger, Capcom's 1984 game, and I don't know
what number is this.
I don't know anyone who paid money to play Frogger. It's not.
What number is this on the list?
It's number 10. It's not a bad game, but it is. I don't think that it is a game that we all flock to the arcades to play.
Listen, man. Fucking, let's go to number 9.
All right.
Let's just go to number 9. I'm sorry, I'm not wasting my time talking about Frogger.
Okay.
I'm not doing it.
So number 9, once again, I never spent my money in the arcade to play this game. However, I played this game emulated when the first iteration of the internet came out, and that is 1979's Asteroids. Now, Asteroids is an excellent game, and on the PC, even the early PCs, when we first got the internet, like this game was so great to play. It controlled so good with a keyboard and mouse. I've never played the arcade version. I don't know. Did you spend your money to play Asteroids?
No, listen, I didn't waste my precious 10 pence allowance on Asteroid, mate. You know what I mean? But I do remember playing Asteroid on the was it the Atari or something?
Mm.
Or the Spectrum or something? I can't remember which one it was. It was one of the console games that took an age, like a nice age to
Well,
fucking load up.
Asteroids was published by Atari, so you probably did play it on the Atari.
Yeah, so it's probably on the Atari, something like that. I remember playing it around my mate's house, and with the single controller with a button on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That is the Atari.
I remember that.
The black controller with the red button on the side.
And I remember getting frustrated with it and lobbing the controller at my mate's head.
Oh, well, maybe people shouldn't loan you things.
Listen, he wouldn't stop fighting. So
oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Great.
So, bad memories.
This is classic.
Bad memories.
Moving on to number 8 then. I think you've mentioned several times that this is one of your all-time favorite classic arcade games. It's Street Fighter 2, the 1992 updated classic. I mean...
Only character worth playing. I don't give a shit what anyone else says in your comments box, right? M. Bison. Man was OP when you played him through the arcade. Yeah, without fighting your mates, obviously. All you had to do was that torpedo thing across the screen like that all the time. Easiest move to charge up. Because by the time you've gone to the left or the right, you've already charged up for the right to the left. Just keep spamming that. You beat every single boss. Honestly, God, what a classic game. Oh, brilliant game that is.
Yeah, and
Spot on.
But I think the reason why you like Street Fighter more than Mortal Kombat is because M. Bison was so overpowered. Because they came out, I think, exactly the same year, if not very close to each other. And I never really played Street Fighter 2 unless Mortal Kombat wasn't available, because why wouldn't you get the gore and the fatalities and all sorts for the same amount of money?
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
You know.
No, I suppose you're right. You got to play as the bosses this time. You know what I mean? It was a whole different world. Vega, Balrog, M. Bison, Sagat. Oh, listen, Sagat was a man mountain, that geezer. Smash anyone up. High fireballs, tiger uppercuts, fucking the lot. And then the only one that wasn't all that good, well, I couldn't play him very well, was Balrog.
Right.
And it was a Mike Tyson ripoff, basically. You know what I mean? But no, like, definitely some really fun memories of playing that. Like that. What number was that again? Sorry.
That is number 8.
Yeah, listen, well placed. Number 8. Yeah, definitely top 10.
I would say top 10, but once again, I really got to dispute Frogger, number 10. We're not even putting Mortal Kombat in the top 10. Are you joking me?
Yeah,
I'm still very shocked by that. I'm sure other lists have different things, and this is crowdsourced, so maybe people just voted to be ironic.
Maybe, do you know what? Maybe our self-opinion on this, like, it just isn't, we haven't calculated, like, maybe the people who made this list were like, the finances were looking good, the cabinets sold really well, it was bright and colourful, it had nice buttons. We don't know the parameters in which they made this list. Clearly Frogger should have been higher on this list.
I mean, fair enough. Well, now we're starting to get into the territory of the games I think everybody thinks of when they think of arcade games, especially when you say the word classic arcade games.
Yeah,
so number 7, Defender, 1980, WMS Industries published shoot-up game. You are on a fictional planet. You have to defeat all those waves of aliens while you keep the astronauts safe. Like, this is a pretty classic, original arcade game. But once again, I think for our age, I don't think we were spending our money to play Defender anymore, but at this point there were already better games out, in my opinion, with better graphics that were more interesting.
100%. This is what's making me think, like, yes, it is a classic. I get that. It's definitely got the heritage and prestige that goes with it. And it probably sparked like a wave of
popularity,
of creativity, creativity for the next generation of games. So that's what I'm thinking. That maybe that's the crux of this list more than anything else. Like that, maybe we're just not civilized enough to understand this list.
Because I'm thinking, like, by the time that we were playing games, it was like the very late 80s, early 90s, and at that point, like Defender came out in 1980. It came out before we were both born. By the time we were in arcades playing, there were better games already. So I don't think we were the ones spending our money on it, which is maybe like
100%.
why we don't have fond memories of it. If this was like your first experience was playing Defender, I'm sure it was dope. So I'm not going to drag it because there are other games that I did play. Like, you know, I'm sorry, Frogger is absolute BS when compared to lots of the other games on the list. Gauntlet, Mortal Kombat, you know, that's my opinion. So I won't drag Defender because it is, I'm sure it helped to define a genre because it came right after one of the other ones higher up on the list. So we'll talk about if they should both be on the list. But
listen, you know, if Dig Dug is now in this top 5 bullshit or whatever it is, then I know there's a problem here because you're pulling a face. So I'm gonna. Is it in this list?
Dig Dug is number 6.
Piss and piss. Like there's Dig Dug's on this list.
Yeah.
The geezer with the shovel.
Yep. Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't think, like, I'm sure it helped to define a genre, blah, 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 but like this, I don't think it was that good of a game. I know a lot of people might disagree, but once again, it wasn't something I was spending my coin on, Dig Dug. Now, later on, when it was released for consoles and things like that, I did play it a few times, but I don't even remember enjoying it then, and it was free, so I definitely wasn't spending coin on it. The next one I did spend some money on. Number 5, Mrs. Pac-Man. I'm pretty sure you did too.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Listen, Mrs. Pac-Man got a serious fiddling. Take that as you will.
Oh my God, I'm not.
Do you know what I mean? There was buttons to press. There was maneuvers to make. Okay. We made them.
Listen, I feel like Pac-Man, even though it is a very old game, this is a 1982 sequel to the original Pac-Man, but like it had new games, like new maps, new moves. It was a pretty fun game. I do remember spending my money on Pac-Man.
Yeah, I do as well, actually.
Yeah, and I remember playing Pac-Man when it came out for various handheld stroke consoles. Like, Pac-Man continued to do well for decades after its release on different formats. Because it's challenging and easy, like on the eyes.
Well, it was such a classic. I think it's still being used to this day, isn't it? I'm sure that there's there's reiterations of it, surely. And obviously it's translated to mobile and still on the retro consoles and still on the actual...
I'm sure people are still playing Pac-Man to this day. Like,
I don't know if they're necessarily paying top dollar for it, though, but I think, there's definitely still people who are, interested in it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's paying big bucks to play Pac-Man. But, yeah, it's still popular. And number 4, I think, is where I was getting to with number 7, Defender. So number 4 is the original Space Invaders. Once again, I didn't spend money on this, but this was one of the first games, along with Asteroids, that I played on computers when the internet and emulators became available. And this game is great. Every iteration of it is great. I do feel like Defender is a pretty obvious ripoff of Space Invaders. And in my opinion, Space Invaders has the nostalgia going for it. I mean, 1978. Neither of us were alive by quite a bit in 1978.
Yeah, but still, though, what a classic, you know what I mean? And when they're getting lower and lower as well, and
and the music, like
the stress that it would ensue, and the sweat just to try and get the last fucking thing. And if you got this, if you were skilled enough to get the flying saucer that zips around at the top and just wipes them all out.
Yeah, I was never that skilled.
Yeah, I was never that skilled either, so that's why
I think I usually died when they got about 3/4 of the way down the screen. That was pretty much me done at that point. Every time.
Yeah. I remember my tactic. If I remember correctly, I would sit in the middle one, and make a channel, and then just try and time it as much as I could, just trying to try and sort of wipe as many of them out as I could, and then move to the left one and make a channel. Yeah, and then there's so then I'm shielded.
Oh wow!
Oh look, listen, I died. It was a shit tactic. It never actually worked.
You got to make a channel. That's what I've learned.
Got to make a channel, man. That's what I'm saying. You got to build those defenses up.
See, I was trying to systematically clear row after row. At no point did it occur to me to make a channel.
Well, that's where you went wrong. You know
Well,
what I mean? You could have combined the two, and then you would have just been fucking
obviously. Maybe we should give
Space
it another
Invaders
try,
champion.
get an emulator.
Was it Space Invaders or one of the games where there was a rumor that if you got the top score, you could work for NASA or something like that? Was that ever in America?
Well, there was a movie called The Last Starfighter based on that premise. Did you ever see that movie?
I thought that was like some sort of unwritten law in America. Like, if you got the top score in this game, you now work for the military.
No,
so if you go,
listen,
I'm getting drafted, Mom. Like, I'm off.
The Last Starfighter is one of the best gems from the late 80s stroke early 90s.
Oh, that's nothing. I didn't even know it was a thing. I thought it was just a rumor that, like, you know what I mean? You check your back seat when you get in your car.
I don't think it's a real thing. But the movie, the guy got the top score, and an alien comes down in a flying car and says, "We're recruiting you to fight against the Kodan Armada." And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "Get in the car." This is a great movie. Like, low key, we will watch it. This movie's great.
That's insane.
It still holds up. The special effects were so good at the time. It still holds up. It's crazy.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Space Invaders, we both love it. It definitely deserves to be on the list, but I don't know if Defender and Space Invaders, because Space Invaders is the definitive for that sort of genre.
Yeah,
maybe I'm
remembering
Defender where they're describing it differently, but if it's the same sort of thing,
they're quite similar.
Yeah. My memory isn't so good, but Space Invaders, 100% I remember. Yeah. I also remember number 3, Donkey Kong, 1981 classic. I had it on a little handheld standalone game when I was a kid.
I was so rubbish at this game.
Same.
My brother was amazing at it. I hated him. Hated him. But yeah, I was absolutely trash at this game. Absolutely trash. It ported onto like well, actually, it ported everywhere. Game Boy had it, like the Game Boy Color had it, consoles had it. It was in the arcade as well, so it went through them all. And I remember there was actually, I think there was a watch that had it as well. Like it was just absolutely everywhere at one point.
Yeah, Donkey Kong was really easy to get a hold of, and it still is to this day. You can play it on pretty much every.
Well deserved on the list, to be honest. Like it's actually top 5.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Donkey Kong's pretty iconic. I'm not mad that it's on the list. I think Dig Dug and Defender and Frogger and 1942 and Centipede, whatever that is, should probably bugger off. But that
they could have made way for better games than that.
I will never stop saying it. Why isn't Mortal Kombat up here? This is a joke.
Well, I don't know.
But I am biased.
You won't listen. Never mind this ranked people. Just make your own list. Do what you want.
Well, that's sort of what we're doing, I suppose. Okay, so number 2, Galaga, published in 1981, Namco Bandai classic. Did you play Galaga?
Wait, number 2 is Galaga?
Number 2 is Galaga.
Yeah. Oh, I'm thinking. What's number 1?
Number 2 is Galaga. So it's a fixed shooter arcade game, and it's the sequel to Galaxian, released in 1979.
Oh, wow.
And at the beginning of each stage, this is reading directly from Ranker, the area is empty, but over time, enemy aliens arrive in formation, and once all the enemies arrive on screen, they will come down at the player's ship in formations of 1 or more, and may either shoot at it or collide with it. I don't think I've ever played this.
Yeah, right.
It looks cool. Very colorful.
I'm a bit of a Marvel geek. There is in one of the Avenger movies, Tony Stark does turn around while he's on the ship and goes like, "That guy's playing Galaga." So clearly, it was a cult classic for the fact that they referenced it in a movie.
Yeah.
And I am clearly out of touch and not played it.
Same as well. I think the release date of 1981 does make it tough for us. I think maybe the gamer generation right before us, like the Gen X, the people who pretty much pioneered arcades, they probably, because we're both sort of elder millennials, the Gen X, they would have been teenagers when this game came out. Like this would have been the game.
Well, you know, they say standing on the shoulders of giants. You know what I mean?
So number 1, I'm sure is no surprise. It's Pac-Man, the 1980 original classic. Listen, Pac-Man is still a good game today. Like, I swear by it. It's still a good game. Like, it is challenging without being snarky. It doesn't have any problematic themes, and it's easy on the eyes. There aren't like flashing lights and blood and gore and all this sort of stuff.
Wait, not Tetris?
No. Mm-mm.
Come on now.
Mhm.
Come on now. You can't have Miss Pac-Man in top 10 and then number 1 is Pac-Man. Where's Tetris?
Don't know.
That's hogwash. I'm calling. Who do I need to complain to?
Well,
That's
contact
bullshit. How's
Lanker,
Tetris not there?
perhaps.
Pac-Man.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through the list now just to see if I can even see Tetris on here, because that's like a pretty good point. But
that is like Tetris. I don't know about you, but it was everywhere at one point. They even made a song about it. I don't remember the Pac-Man song.
I do remember the Tetris song. I feel like there is an X-Men arcade game. It's 39, by the way, the one that you mentioned.
Oh shit. 39. That was a fucking good game. That should have been near Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I'm just scrolling through here just to see if I can find it at all.
How is Tetris not on this game?
No idea. Are you sure it came out for actual cabinets?
I remember playing it in Vedka Beach.
Oh, okay.
In a cabinet.
Fair enough. Oh man, Time Crisis is at 67. Time Crisis is one of my favorite games of all time.
What, the
light gun
cop
game.
One? Reload.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still love that game. I still play that game. It's so good. Tekken is number 70.
Holy shit. Still no Tetris?
Nope, still no Tetris. I'm trying to find where it is on this list. I mean, Doom number 77. How dare you?
Listen, something's not right here. This list was probably, honestly, with the recent troubles that are going on between Ukraine and Russia, right? They didn't want Tetris at number 1. That's what it is. They didn't want that Cossack dance at the end.
That is possible that people have just downvoted Russian titles for no reason.
Yeah, I'm feeling a boycott.
Yeah, totally possible. It is very weird. I'm over 100 now and I haven't found it. So
yeah, someone's boycotted that, mate. Yeah, you little fuckers. I'm telling you, Tetris should have been number 1. Pac-Man. It's bad enough his missus is in the fold.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go past 116. It ain't there. So
you got past 116. It still wasn't there. Yeah, listen, that's all right.
Yeah.
Put your comments in the box. Let these people know that you're upset that it's not number 1. Yeah, don't tell me. Tell them. It's fine.
Well,
spam the inbox.
So just looking at this 14, for me, what's missing is Mortal Kombat. Like, I know that it sounds like I'm just obsessed with this game.
It does sound a bit, I'm not going to lie, you just sound, you got a bit of a hard on for Mortal Kombat.
I'm obsessed with Mortal Kombat. No, but considering that these other titles are groundbreaking and genre-defining games, like Mortal Kombat was more important than Street Fighter in terms of defining the fighting genre, because Mortal Kombat had blood and gore and everybody got mad and everyone was like, oh, they're destroying our kids. Like, that is, if you're looking at importance in genre defining, I just think it's more important. And so I think it should be closer to where Street Fighter is. That's my personal opinion. There are some games that I just don't think should be on here at all, like Frogger. But
yeah, Dig Dug, Frogger,
yeah.
What the fuck are you doing now? Not me.
There's nothing wrong with them being in a top 50 list, but in the top 14, that seems a bit crazy for me. What's missing from this list for you?
Well, Tetris, obviously. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, it's iconic. When they did the song in the 90s or the early 2000s, whichever it was, that was around. Like I said, I didn't hear no songs about Pac-Man. I heard a song about Bart Simpson. You know what I mean? I didn't hear one about Pac-Man. Or his missus, or his cousin, or whatever else came after him.
I do think the Pac-Man sound, the waka 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 waka, is pretty.
Waka 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 waka. Yeah. Listen, that sounds like every customer I've got to serve every morning, so don't worry. You know what I mean? I constantly hear Pac-Man every day. That's all my customers. Waka 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 waka. All right, see you in a bit.
Yeah, I think
my whole life's Pac-Man.
I think the hard part about judging the games that I've not played before is I don't want to be like cruel to them. I'm sure 1942 is a great game, but I've never played it. I'm sure Galaga is a great game, but I've never played it. And some of these games I
Yeah,
didn't
you're
play
right.
on arcade. I played them on other formats. So maybe Space Invaders plays way better on arcade than Mortal Kombat plays on arcade. Do you know, like I think that is sort of the limit of where my knowledge is, because some of these games I played on emulators later on.
Yeah, but I can't see that because when it first came out, it didn't come out for an emulator first, did it? It came out for the arcade. So it was designed for the arcade.
That's true, but maybe some of these arcade games I don't like as much because I didn't play them on arcade
Oh,
where
because
they
you
were
yeah,
designed for. I played them somewhere else, and I
Mhm.
wasn't as impressed. Maybe because of a product of the time or how I played them. Because Frogger, I remember playing on the computer first. So that would have been 90s, early 2000s, perhaps, and I wouldn't have been very impressed then because there were way better games at that time. Like, we were about to get our first
Yeah.
Halo at that time, like that's who's playing Frogger.
I wonder if Halo beat Doom on this list.
Well, I think we've got you queued to have a look at shooters later on with us. Yeah, sure do.
Oh,
So we'll have a look at the shooters list in a couple weeks and see how you feel about the rankings there. I know that I've seen both Halo and Doom on there, and I know where they are, but I won't spoil it for you.
I'm going to lose my shit, Anna.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, this
any
is not.
any final thoughts about classic arcade games, top 30 of all time?
Um, I'm going to do one of those school after school specials in a minute. You know what I mean? Where it's like, listen, we all come from different backgrounds and things like this. Like, so like everyone has fond memories of these games. I think what the takeaway is from this, it doesn't matter where it actually is on the list, in all honesty. The list is incidental to me and you and to anyone else. It's what it connected with you as an interpersonal level. So some of those games resonated with me personally because, that was my childhood growing up. And it'd be the same for the people that, put it number one at Pac-Man. Obviously they haven't got any taste. That's why they don't do that stuff. But I'm just saying, like, it's the feelings it generates, it's the memories it creates, it's the feeling of community, like coming together in community with it as well. And what you take away from it, and that is all that matters when it comes to games and development. Really, what it generates for you on a soul touching level. Because in all honesty, right, if it wasn't for arcades, games, and comic books and things like this, my childhood growing up would have been the garbage fire. Like, it would have just been horrendous. Like, there wouldn't have been any color in it at all. And it was these kind of games that brought me together with friends and brought me together, as a human being, and made me realize that, like, yeah, things may not be going well and good, but there's always something in a game that will make you feel like, oh, like I'm feeling king of the world, if I'm not king of the world in my own life. But I can still shit smash this up, you know what I mean? So it's like, like, I can't do nothing about the bullies at school, but when I get on Street Fighter, like, blah, 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 I'm gonna do it. I think that's my takeaway from it.
Listen, I think that's great. And, people will have different opinions. Like, please do pop in the comments, tell us, like, where you think we went wrong. It's possible that some of these games we've completely misremembered entirely because we played a sequel or whatever and not the original game. Entirely possible. So do let us know if that's happened. But I do think that classic arcade games definitely have a place in the history of gaming. It isn't my preferred genre. It's not what I turn to, but I do have fond memories associated with them and sometimes that I really cherish. And even if most of those are playing them as emulators later on, still counts, I think. So
I agree.
that's great stuff. Well, that is it.
Are we done?
Yeah, that's it for this episode of Retro Rebel Gamecast. And I want to thank Tom for this week's discussion following on from last week's first part. So thank you for that. All the notes from this episode will be posted on our site, templeofgeek.com. If you'd like to add to the discussion, reach out with questions, sound off in the comments, or email us via retrorebel@templeofgeek.com.
You know what I mean?
If you like what you hear,
45 minutes life of like, you know what I mean? Of my own life I've sacrificed for this list. You know, those comments better be worth it.
Listen,
like, you better be getting some likes for this, or like some shares, or whatever it is that you have to do, right? Because you've wasted 45 minutes 2 times now.
Enriched your life.
Oh, sorry. Yes. I was reading the script wrong.
Yeah, enriched.
It's enriched.
Yeah,
Thank you, Retro Rebel, and everyone involved with it.
Thank you.
And whoever has to edit this all out, I apologize profusely for not being a seasoned classic fucking podcaster.
It's fine. I think keep it in. If you do like what you hear, is this 45 minutes of Tom's thankful time and mine as well, please head over to wherever you download your podcast and subscribe, so you'll be sure to get each episode as it's released, and rate us, because that really helps our show. Until the next time, we will see you later.
All right, catch you later.